Creative Souls. Kristen Fagan here. I wanted to pop in today and talk a little more about my word of the year for 2019. Happy Chinese New Year. I always say that, and it happens every year to me, so I don't fret about it, but I always say that for me, the start of the new year is really the Chinese New Year. I just can't get my stuff together in January. I like to have January to kind of relax from the holidays and reflect and have a little space. And this January we got really sick. So it's really been kind of a slow start to the year over here for us. So I'm happy to be finally embarking on my word of the year and creating some art around it today. I shared earlier today in the group a PDF file for a word of the year inquiry. If you are still musing on what your word of the year might be and you want to download that, it's just a few questions and things to think about as you're deciding on how you want to feel and move into this year. I have my little worksheet that I finished here. My word for 2018 was light. And that was a word that was somewhat passive. I just really needed to feel lighter in my everyday lightness of being and joyful and just looking for the light and not being weighed down by so much stress and heaviness. And I feel like that word really was great for me last year. It was what I needed at the time. This year, I'm looking for a little more of an active word. I'm ready to kind of move forward. I have some big changes ahead this year, and I want to feel motivated and I want to feel ready to tackle them. And so my word this year is a lot more active. By going through the little worksheet, it helped me to figure out what word, because there was a couple coming up, like bloom was a big one, evolve, change. Those were all words that were popping up for me. And so the little worksheet just kind of helped me put all those words out there that I was thinking about and helped me decide which one was really the right one for this year. It also talks a little bit about like what's going on in your life that you might want to work on to feel the way you want to feel, and maybe some things you're already doing that give you that feeling that you want to do more of. So all good stuff. So one of the things that really jumped out to me when I was thinking about how I wanted to create my art this year is that, and I'll show you a few examples. I've done it a couple of different ways. So one of the ways that I did some art for my word of the year was I played with some wood burning. I had gotten a wood burning kit one Christmas, and so a few years back I chose the word nourish, and I created this little wood block that I kept on my desk to remind me. And that was one way that I came up with a visual reminder for my word of the year. Last year I did a collage, and I actually have this shared in the group here, so if you want to look back and see how I did this collage, it's just simply on cardboard with some paper cutouts. And I see a few people on here I know. Hello, just want to say hi. Hi Donna, hi Candace, hi Allison. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to be working on my word of the year artwork this afternoon, so if you want to stick around, I'd love to have you here. And if you want to share any words that you have been thinking of for your feeling this year, please share in the comments and ask any questions or anything that you want. I'm happy to talk to you guys. So this is what I created last year around my word light, and I had a few symbols. I had the feather because I wanted to just feel a lot lighter and joyful. I had this diamondy crystal here which I kind of feel like this turned into being a little bit of my symbol, because I got involved in crystals a lot more last year, and I bought a lot more crystals and wore a lot more crystals. So in a way, this sort of probably became a heavier symbol as the year went on. And so this is just a collage you can do with words and cutouts, stickers, things you have around. That's one way to create a visual reminder of your word of the year. And then I also did this one in, I think it was 2017. So my word in 2017 was presence. And I really wanted to be present in my everyday life. I wanted to show up. I wanted to be really here, and not with my mind other places. I wanted to embrace where I was in the moment. So this was the art I created, like a tree standing, very grounded and very present. So I did this one in 2017, and I feel like out of the different artworks I've created, this one really resonated the most with me throughout the year. And I'm sure it has to do with the fact that it is a painting, and painting is one of my huge passions. And so, and I just cut out the letters from a magazine and glued them in down here at the bottom of the painting. I know some people have a difficult time thinking about writing the word out, so that is a way that you can infuse your piece with some words without feeling the need to use your own handwriting. So I decided this year to go back to creating a painting, because I really felt like this one was super strong for me and something that I really resonated with throughout the year. So today I'm gonna do a painting, and I have a symbol. That showed up for me a couple months ago. I went paddling with my friend Dawn on the Salt River, and there's a lot of dragonflies and damselflies there. And so I had a visit from a few damselflies, which are just like dragonflies. They're just kind of have a little bit different in their shape, but symbolically they mean the same thing. And I kept they were like hitching rides with me. They would land on me, they would land on my board, and they just kind of hung out and like hitched a ride with me as I was going down the Salt River. And so when thinking about my word of the year and my symbol, I kept coming back to that dragonfly, which means change and transformation, metamorphosis, things like that. And that just really felt like it embodied what I want my 2019 to do and feel like. So today we're gonna paint, I'm gonna paint my background, I'm gonna have fun and play, paint my words, and I'm gonna paint my symbol on this piece of art. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn you guys down to my table, and we'll get started. Oh, I did want to talk a little bit about color just before I get started, because I know color theory is really fun. It's fun to learn about color and the relationship, but I also just want to talk a little bit about when you're using color in your artwork, some tips. And one thing that I'm going to focus on today is I'm going to use an analogous color. So what that means is analogous are all the colors next to each other on a color wheel. So I'm going to work with greens and blues mostly. The dragonfly that landed on me was a blue dragonfly, so I'm going to work with lots of greens and blues, maybe a little bit of purple. They're all next to each other on the color wheel, and then I'm going to go across my color wheel and accent with a complementary color. So I'm going to accent with red, orange, somewhere in there. So this is when you're looking at a color wheel and you want to come up with a harmonious color scheme. You know, start with those colors that are next to each other, and then if you want to add some more contrast and pop, think about what's directly across from them, and that's what you would use as your accent piece. Whoa, the sun just came out of the clouds. Probably a good time for me to turn this down and get to work on some art. So here is my canvas I'm going to use. This is a canvas that has had a few different renditions. It's sort of what I would call a working canvas in my studio. I have used it for a few different healing practices. And so I'm going to transform it from my Yes painting that I did a few months back to my Word of the Year painting. And I have a little labradorite stone here at my desk. Labradorite is a big stone for transformation. So I wanted to put that in my space as I'm working. And actually, when you look at it, man, it looks like wings of a dragonfly, doesn't it? So pretty. So I'm starting out with a lot of green. I'm gonna add some blues in here. I'm working with acrylic paint. I have acrylic paint, I have some brushes, I have a little water cup, and an old rag that I keep around for wiping off my brush. And you guys, I haven't painted in a little while, so it feels a little vulnerable to be here today painting. I'm just gonna add some dark blue, but I'm excited about it for sure. I needed to push myself and make some time and some space to paint. I'm just gonna cover up my yes. And this is how I start a lot of my paintings. I just pick some colors and kind of make some blocks of it around the canvas. In a way, it just gets my mind relaxed. I don't have to think a lot about it. And it gets the paint moving. And I'm using a mixture of artist acrylic paints and just some basic craft paint. So I have a little aqua here I'm gonna add to my palette. And you can add it right to your blue you've already got on your painting and kind of mix it in to get another tint of blue. Animal symbols are so powerful, and they always have such unique messages for us when they show up in our lives. So I like to pay attention to the animals that appear or symbols that appear and kind of look those up, in addition to thinking about how, you know, what it means to me. Maybe if you don't even want to look it up and you just want to say, hey, what is that? What do I think that animal's trying to tell me? And let your intuition decide. Right now I'm just using a round brush, a pretty large one, to lay down paint and just kind of cover up what was there before. Now I'm going to switch to sort of an oval color shaped brush, and I'm going to add some white to my dark blue I've got on my palette, just to give me another value of that blue. I'm in the stage where I'm just playing sticking with my blue. I'm going to bring in some green. This is a pretty dark green, actually. It almost has a neutral quality. So it's kind of a gray green. To add some pops of this aqua green color on here. And I like to move around the canvas when you're using a color. You can think about your canvas in sort of quadrants, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and just think about placing a little bit of that color you're using in each quadrant, and that'll bring a harmony to the piece. I'm going to come back with a little bit of that dark blue again, and maybe add some dark blue blocks of color in that quadrant and this one across the way. One of the nice things about working on a canvas that you kind of change a few times is you have a lot of these juicy layers from beneath it. So if you see here, like I'm just lightly tapping over this area here, and because there's all of these texture lines from what's below, it's creating a nice effect where you almost have a distressed look where you've got the blue on the top part and the recessed areas are staying green. And I just want to bring some of this dark green in a few places. I've got it there, maybe over here. Right here. And down in this corner. And maybe one more spot for some of this dark green. Now I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller of a round brush, and I'm going to bring some of this sort of tanzanite color, which was the white mixed with the dark blue. I want to play with that a little bit, so I think I'm just going to use it as a way to accent. As you see, I have like a block of green right here, so I'm just gonna take this kind of tanzanite color and see about like tapping it in there. And that just takes a dark area and lightens it up. I think I'll do the same thing on this side, but I might do more of a geometric pattern over here. I'm just working to create some interest on my background. And I'm not worrying too much about what I'm doing, because if I decide that I don't want to keep this here and I want to get rid of it, or I want to get rid of parts of it, I could just paint over it. I'm kind of feeling like playing with a little bit of movement, so I'm just gonna swirl around here in the background. Letting my brush just lightly touch, and like over here it picked up some green. That's okay. Now I notice that this kind of aqua color has lost itself a little bit. I'm just gonna pick a few areas to bring it back. Could even decide to kind of fill in that. And again, I'm thinking about my quadrants. So I've got some of that here, I've got it here, I've got it here. So I think I'm gonna add a little bit up here now. A few sketches of dragonflies on my sketchbook just to kind of get my thoughts down before I put a dragonfly on my painting. And dragonflies really symbolize change in perspective, and the kind of change that is derived from mental and emotional maturity. They're a symbol of lightness and a symbol of joy as well. So I thought that that was really a nice transition from where my word was in 2018 and where my word is now, is that it still has that lightness of being and that joy, but it's bringing in a little more of the transformation, change into another form of energy, metamorphosis, just like butterflies, which could be a profound change in your form, in your shape, your appearance, your circumstances. All of those kind of things is what I'm thinking about when I think about my word. I'm going to play with adding some words to the background. I don't know if they'll stay, but I know I want them to show up, even if it's just in its energy and then it ends up disappearing later. That's okay. You could do this as your first layer too. I just had a lot on my first layer already, so I felt like diving right in. But you could do your words and your meanings in your first layer. One of the other words that was coming up for me, and maybe I'll just sort of put it in here, was bloom, which also has, I feel like, the connotation of change and transformation. I feel like when I just make like this in the background, it's such a form of meditation. It gets me out of my head. I'm just going to take my words and just kind of wash them away for the moment. They're still there. I just want to look again at my labradorite because I feel like I'm picking up those colors in the painting. I'm trying to figure out where on this piece I want to add my dragonfly. I do kind of dig what's happening here. And I feel like this is sort of messy down here, so that needs a little help. So maybe my dragonfly will go kind of in here. Well, you know what? I could always, let's spin it around too. You know what? Yeah, that feels better because I feel like the dragonfly could easily go here. I'm going to work with it this way. And so I've just got a small or somewhat thin. I could probably even go thinner, do I? That's the thinnest I've got here. But I've just got a thin round brush that I'm going to put white paint on to draw my outline of my dragonfly. And first I'm just going to make sure this is a little, I'm just going to use my fingers and smush this down just a little bit more. Isn't that funny? I wasn't sure why I felt the need to wipe away the words, but now that I have twisted the canvas around the other direction, my words would have been all upside down. So that must have been why I intuitively started to get rid of my words. So one of the differences with damselflies is that they have skinny bodies, other than a dragonfly. And they've got a middle little spot here and two big eyes. I think the shape of the dragonfly head is slightly different. And the wings are skinnier. So right now I'm going around my dragonfly, around the outside of my lines I drew. And I'm creating a shadow of sorts. Just in the white, just using my fingers to blend. And the idea is that by creating the shadow and the blending on the outside of my drawing, that the wings on the inside reveal, like a window, the background. And I'm just twisting my canvas around. I don't usually listen to piano instrumentals, but I was worried about what Facebook would allow me to have on in the background, music-wise, so I thought this was a safe bet. But it's quite calming. And this song in particular is making me feel like water rushing, a stream. And I did see my dragonfly out on the river, so maybe that's just why my interpretation of it is reminding me of water. You see how going around I just decided to do it in white. You can actually go the opposite way and do your outlines in a darker color and make that be your shadow. I kind of feel like his body needs to be longer. So I'm going to do that here and just shorten that part and work to make that part of the body a little longer. I also think I want this to be skinnier. I'm going to come in here, just make it a little smaller. One of my favorite things about paint is it's really so forgiving. So we talked about looking at the color wheel. And so far, I've really stayed with the blue-green, the green. A little bit of this yellow-green, which I might bring some of that back. So I've kind of stayed in this part. So I'm going to flip to the bottom here and go across and bring in sort of a red-orange, maybe a magenta. I might go a little more like over to this side, the red-violet color. Let me see what I've got. I've got this color called Cherry Cobbler. That it doesn't look like we've used much, so maybe I will try that and see. I have sort of, it's kind of a square tip, but it's got a little bit of an angle on it. I'm going to use that one next. I'm just going to dip it right into the paint, and I think I'm going to do some accents over here on the outside of and see how I feel about it. I'm enjoying my finger as a blending tool today. I'm going to try that on the opposite side, up here, across from it. And now I'm going to grab a little bit over here. And like we talked about, making sure I've got it in quadrants. I'm going to do a little mark making with this color down on this pattern. Oh, I love aqua and red together. That is making me really happy, these two colors next to each other. And maybe I'll do a couple little dots up in this corner. And maybe I'll come around the outside of this guy. I think I'm going to add a little of this coral reef color to get some more of that orangey feel without having to go totally in the orange. I'm just going to add that to there. I'm going to add a little white to my coral to even further make it a little bit on the pinkier side. And this is where you can kind of start to define your symbol a little bit more. Just kind of eking in on there. And again, you've got this pinky color here that isn't anywhere else. So I'm going to bring it in over here. And I'm feeling these squiggles right now, so I'm going to go with it. They feel very like movement and transformative, a change in energy. Doing those kind of squiggly lines, so I'm just going to keep So I'm going to come back with some dark blue that we started with in the beginning. And a little bit of that aqua. But first I'm going to work on the dark blue, and I'm back to this nice small round brush here. And I just want to make some, I've got a lot of water on this brush. I wanted to define the eyes up here a bit more. I'm just gonna play with the body shape a little bit. I feel like what's happening up here is like the middle section is a bit big. So let me make the eyes more oval. I'll probably let this part dry up here and mess with that a little bit more. But I can take some of this dark blue and add it down here along the body. got some of this green left, so let me get this dark green in there too. So now I'm feeling like we've got this like really bright neon green color there, kind of here along the edges, and I want to bring that into the middle of the piece a little bit. Let me see if I still have that color. This one. I think that's this color, this light green. So I'm going to bring some of that in. I might need a little yellow with it, but let's see first. think I'm going to go back to this large round brush and just tap a little bit of this in here. And tap a little of that in here. I'm going to tap a little of that in this swing here. And I think at the bottom of this one too. Up here, it seems like right above the eyes might be a good spot. I just picked up some of that dark blue again. I'm just going to use it as a way to define parts of the wings. And I think I might bring a little in here too, because I don't have any dark blue in here at all. in my little prism here. I could use this dark blue as a way to ground some areas of the painting. I totally lost track of time, so I have no idea how long I've been on here. And I apologize if it's a little too long, but this is sort of just making it as I go. I know I'm having a good time when I lost track of time. And all the while I'm doing this, I'm just thinking like dragonfly, change, metamorphosis, things that I want to embody. Feeling how I feel like I need something right here, so I'm thinking I'm going to put my words right in this little area here. But I enjoyed cutting out the words and gluing them on with my presence one. Thinking I might do the same. For some details, I'm going to use this Uniball Signo white pen. And you really have to make sure that the areas you're going to write on are dry. So I think my wings are pretty dry. And that's what I feel like writing on first. My pen's not really writing cleanly. It's kind of skipping a bit. But you know what? I think I like it. I haven't used these pens in a little while. I don't know if they dry out if you haven't used them. I do live in Arizona, so everything dries out here. I actually think that works. The skipping of the I just like how this pen, if you like to draw or you just like the feeling of a pen, I love the illustrative quality that I can get when I add this to my painting. I'm just going to go over my lines here. I wasn't sure the meaning of this little doodad here, but when I think of it as a prism reflecting light and even changing that light, in a way you're changing your energy, and it kind of fits, doesn't it? just take this, add some little white dots over here. And I may do the same in this little, maybe I'll like make little swirlies up here. I got a couple of those down here too. These look like little windows. Little windows, little doors to change. I'll go with that. I like that. So now I just have to add my word, transform. Hi, Stacy. Nice to see you. Thank you. I haven't painted in a little while. I've been doing so many beading videos that it's been a bit since I've painted. I've got the new year here getting me inspired. The last thing I want to do is add the words transform to the bottom here, and I think I'm going to do it with cutout, which I haven't done yet. So I do practice art in every way regularly. It's for sure a part of who I am, and I don't know if I'm good at anything artsy, but painting and jewelry making are some sweet spots. But it is fun to try and do all sorts of different things. And I think a lot of times you take the same approach, you know, when you're creating in different mediums. Well, that is my painting for today, guys. Here's my dragonfly, or my damselfly, and my word of the year is transform. And I'm going to go ahead and cut those out of a magazine and glue them down over in here somewhere. You know, I haven't, Stacy. I have not incorporated beads onto my paintings before. I've done yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of 3D stuff, so I usually just use some texture of paint, and I have used glitter and things like that, but I haven't used a lot of three-dimensional pieces. I should look and see what I've got, only because, you know, I have a ton of beads. So I should really look and see what could work on a painting. That's a fun idea. Thank you for that. So tomorrow I go down to Tucson for the bead show. James gets to go home, and I get there tomorrow and do the second half of the show. So you'll see me over on the Softflex page in the morning starting tomorrow for a couple of days. Did you pick a word of the year? Have you ever done that, Stacy? I do it instead of resolutions, so it's how I want to feel, what I want to be, and then I have some goals and stuff that show up underneath that, but mostly it's just the word. Yeah, you could pick a word at any time. I always say that today's the Chinese New Year, and I always say that the Chinese New Year is my true New Year because I just don't usually have it together in January. It takes me a little more time to think about it, and December's just not the right month for me to do that. So you have time to still think about it and see what comes up. Maybe see if any symbols show up for you, and that might be something you think about even more. For me, it was the dragonfly, so that's going to be my symbol for this year. And it's because the dragonfly landed on me a couple of times while I was out a few months back, and so I decided that that was my symbol. That dragonfly was trying to share some of its wisdom with me. But it could be anything. If you see a feather, if you have some animals or other things that just kind of show up in your path, take notice of that symbol. Maybe there's something there that will bring you to your word or your feeling of the year. I tend to like to let it pick me if at all possible. So, see what kind of shows up when I start looking, certain flowers to something just sort of show up more than once, and take note of that. Well, thanks for tuning in while I painted. I'm gonna stop now. Oh my goodness, I've been on for almost 2 hours. All right, see you later. Thank you for stopping by.